Namaste, lads and ladies. Welcome back finally to another tattoo story time. It's been way too long. Nearly 2.5 weeks or so. It's been a while. I wanted to hold off on this one just until it's somewhat healed a little bit, but it's about 2 days or so after I've gotten my recent tattoo done, and if you can tell by the title, yes, it is a Pokémon one, and it is of course of Gardevoir, who was, I believe, my favourite and probably my first evolved Pokemon, I believe. Well, apart from the starter, I don't really count starters because, I started out first with Diamond and Pearl, and I think the starters for those are a Turtwig, a Piplup, and a Chimchar, I believe. Yeah, and I think I went with the Piplup, yeah, because I looked at the extra evolutions of them at a later date, and the Prinplup was very good looking as well, along with the Empyrean, I believe. I believe it's Empyrean, I can't quite remember his name, but yeah, it was a very powerful water-type Pokemon compared to, it could be compared to like Squirtle when it like evolved into water, and then Blastoise basically. I don't know how people can say like, oh yeah, Squirtle was like a simple design, it's just a turtle. Yeah, who cares? It was cool. He was cool. He was cute as well. He was like the coolest little mofo with sunglasses around town, basically. But you want to see the tattoo? I'll show you. It's on my leg. It's actually my first sleeve tattoo. Like, it's the first interjoining connected tattoo, basically. Like, because most of my arm and my chest and everything else is kind of like scattered throughout everywhere, basically. This is my first sleeve tattoo, so this, I'm gonna warn you, it took 6 hours to make. I was done by the end of it. I couldn't do any more, but yeah, let me show you what it looks like. I'll talk about the design in a bit, but I just want to show you what it looks like first. There she is in all her glory. Now, if you can tell, she's got a wedding dress on. She's got the tiara on there as well. Nice white highlights, and instead of the roses, I decided to go with the sakura cherry blossoms, basically. So it emphasizes the Japanese take on it, basically. Hence, Pokemon is Japanese made. See how it connects here and all that down there? I've got some white highlights in the cherry blossom sakura leaves, basically, in the petals. I've got petals floating about all over it, basically. And if you've noticed, she's got these 2 horn plates on her chest. Now, with that is an indication that this is her Mega Evolved version, not her third evolutionary line, basically. This is her Mega Evolved version. This is quite a recent thing, basically, so it like entails what you need, basically, to make her Mega Evolved, basically. Now, if I go around the other side, see little Ronnie there, she's healed up quite nicely. It's actually connected at the back there, if you can see. And on the dress, we've got little roses down here, just to make the bottom part of the dress look more lively. And right here is a little Pokeball. If you can see it there, a little Pokeball, just right there. And I've given her a little bit more blush on her face, so her face pops, basically. What we decided to go for was the normal black and grey with some Japanese style clouds, or like these little black filler bits in here, so it fills out the leg quite nicely, and it makes the white on her dress and the grey pop a little bit more with the sakura flowers and all that. So yeah, that's my Gardevoir tattoo. It came out very nicely, actually. I got this done about 2 days ago. I finally took all the cling film off, washed it. It's fantastic now. I've put some skincare products on that, so that should heal quite nicely with my skin. Most of my tattoos heal quite nicely, like with my knuckles. You could still see those there, and my rose and all that. So I'm glad that I've gotten that done, basically. It looks really beautiful, honestly. So now, the story behind Gardevoir, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the tattoo session first, because it was not pleasant. I talked to my guy Brian, as I've always noticed. If you want to book at Magic Tattoo here in Brighton, they're always open, they're friendly, it's LGBTQ friendly as well if you're here in Brighton or around and all that, so you don't have to worry about stigmas and all that crap. They're just there for business, and they're there for the friendly environment basically. So you can just go down a Magic Tattoo and they'll sort you out with some of the best artists basically. Shameless plug in there out of the way. I went down about a week or so ago and I gave him a concept and I asked him what he thought about it. He gave me his feedback on it. By the way, this is a chap who knows very little about Western culture, Japanese culture and stuff like that. So he's from Brazil. I had to explain to him kind of like what this Pokemon thing is basically, and he captured it beautifully. I think he managed to catch the elegance of the dress that she wore perfectly. I wanted her dress basically to be a representation of her evolutionary line when it came to her Mega Evolved version, because with her Mega Evolved version she has more of a outstretched hem on her dress basically, and I kind of wanted that in the form of a wedding dress basically, so it really emphasizes it and makes it more beautifully elegant basically, with the sakura flowers of course adding the Japanese side effects to it all basically. And with how she looks, she just pulls it off perfectly. You know, it just looks like a beautiful tattoo overall basically. I'm very pleased with it. So now when I went to go get my tattoo done, I knew it was going to be a long haul tattoo. It was like 6 hours long basically. And he said this might take 2 sessions depending on the background basically. And I said, is there no possible way of fitting it into a 1 session? Because I normally don't do 2 sessions, because when you do 2 you have to have time for the tattoo to heal, and I didn't want to have to wait in between, because I thought there may be some discoloration, maybe the healing might be off compared to the second session when they finally do the background, and then it just looks weird, you know, kind of like how Rani's background is more grey now because it meshes well with her grey dress. If I'd have done that background at a later date, it might have made the discoloration look odd basically. That's why I wanted it all done in the first session. Plus, I'm doing 2 sessions within like 5 days. No, not on tender skin like this, man. It sucks. It really sucks. Like, as many tattoos as I have, you might think I enjoy it. I do not. Tattooing sucks. It is painful. It is awful. And then there are some of you saying like, well, why don't you just get numbing cream and all that? I'm the type of guy that falls into the category of like, I think numbing cream is not helpful in the long run for the tattoo basically. That's just a preference basically. I know there's no like facts on whether or not if tattoo numbing cream can like affect tattoo colorization or like the texture of the skin. I know that. It's just me, that's my personal pet peeve. I just don't use numbing cream. I know, stupid me. Like, yeah, I'm suffering in pain here whilst getting the work of art done when I could like be making it a lot easier on myself. What was nice about the session afterwards though is Brian, bless him, he was quite careful with it. He wasn't too like rough on the cleanups basically. He was very understanding, you know, and that's why I love him as a tattoo artist. He's very understanding, he's very friendly, he's very forthcoming with what he does basically. And there was this one bit, let me show you, like this thing here on my knee. Oh my god. Oh my god. I will never get my knee done. I will never get my knee done because that little area there, I wanted to scream. I wanted to scream from the top of my lungs. It was fucking terrible. It was like making my knee joint like shake violently left to right basically. So I've said to him, mate, if you're going to do that area, you've got to hold my foot down. I even had to ask Joe, another tattoo artist in there, if he could come over and like maybe put his hand on it. He was like, nah, you're fine. Brian's got me leg down and all that, and I'm just sitting there like wincing in pain and all that crap. And yeah, I'm just glad it came out as beautifully as it did basically. There is one little area, you might not be able to see it. Hang on. There's one little area that I need to get reset a little bit, like filled in. Like this little area, as you can see, it doesn't connect to this bit. This has to be filled in. That I'm not looking forward to because that is painful. But it shouldn't take more than like maybe 2-3 minutes or something to fill in, you know. Brian's very quick, he's very good at what he does basically, so I'll be leaving it to him to fill that in when I go in for my next tattoo, because you know it's going to happen with me. Anyway, now we talk about Gardevoir. Gardevoir, the embraced Pokemon, roughly weighing 106 pounds, or more than likely, I think that's 63 kilograms. I can't remember what it is in stone. I know it's like 7 something stone, I believe. I'm gonna have to check that later on, but yeah, she weighs like 107 pounds. She's about 5'3", and it all started when I went to watch the anime of I never watched like the original with like Misty, Brock, and Ash, but I did watch it at a later date. Basically, I started with Pokemon Advanced, I believe, when it was May, Max, and Brock and Ash, of course, basically. And there was one particular episode I watched where Max, May's younger brother, came into contact with a small little ralts. Ralts, of course, is the emotion Pokemon, or the feeling Pokemon, as you like to call it. Now, the stage line of Ralts, it goes into Kirlia, which is basically the emotion Pokemon. It looks quite an awful lot like a ballet dancer. And they both, Ralts and Kirlia, basically take their emphases from like English knights, princes, princesses, and so on and so forth, like that. I mean, like even Gallade's name, like the name like Gallade, there's like the word blade and like gallant in his name. Basically, he's meant to be like this upstanding knight, basically, you know. So there's an emphasis on that. Whereas Gardevoir is the only one out of their names where I think it's different in Japanese. So they've made it easier for us to understand that in the English dub, where her name is God, hence means basically a guard of like the knight's guard and so on and so forth. And I believe the Japanese name is similar to the words like Sir Knight or something like that. Hence why the saying is like, you know, that's something you would say like in the olden times if you needed like help from the knights. Basically, you'd say, "Oh, Sir Knight," and they would come and help you, so on and so forth. Basically, Kirlia was an interesting Pokemon because she kind of eluded me to know that the genders can be male and female depending on if you have a Dawnstone. Well, that's not true actually, because you can get male Gardevoirs. I know, as much as people like to complain and say, no, Gardevoirs are female, no, you can get male Gardevoirs. So all those Rule 34 arts out there are cursed. Don't know what Rule 34 is, then my goodness, please keep your innocence. Please keep your innocence, because I think... Is it God? No, Lucario is. I think Lucario is the most deevishly drawn Pokemon out of them all, but I think Gardevoir is a close second, I think, yeah. But yeah, I've seen some art of Gardevoir, and my goodness, they look fucking fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. Some of them look great. Lucario as well, man, damn. How can you make a dog look hot? Damn. But yeah, anyway. And then we get to Gardevoir, which is basically known as the Embrace Pokemon, and I'll talk about Gallade in a bit because I also have a Gallade. Now, I'm going to tell the story about how I got a shiny Ralts like way into my 20s. That's going to be an interesting one, but yeah. So Gardevoir, if you've known from the Pokédex, she has no idea of what gravity is. She's not controlled by gravity. She doesn't understand the pull of gravity. Because of her psychic kinetic powers, she's able to create a small black hole which can suck in any type of attack or any person at its bending of its will, basically. It is also very protective and very friendly and loving towards its trainer. Hence, with the horns on its chest. Why it moved from the front and back from a Ralts to the sides of Kirlia, I think that's like a representation of the hair, because like the bowler haircut is meant to look like a church choir boy when they have their hair cut like that. And with Kirlia, it's kind of the same but a little bit longer. I guess what some people misrepresent is that Kirlia is meant to be a girl, but I think it's actually representing a young boy with how the hair back in the day, like in medieval, like Saxon England, where it used to look like that, basically. And I guess the whole like ballet thing is definitely like a representation of the finer arts that young princes and princesses would learn within royalty, basically. Although back in the day it was frowned upon for young boys to learn ballet, basically, but you know, it happened no matter in what destination or place there is. Like in Russia, like an awful lot of male ballet artists are like one of the best, basically, because they were very open about their arts and so on and so forth, basically. And then when it came to Gardevoir, bless her, the horns then moved to her chest, because I believe the horns are meant to sense emotion and feelings and stuff like that, basically. And that was what was interesting about you know, the ralts, kirlia, and Gardevoir lines, that they were basically the feeling Pokemon compared to most other Pokemon, because with other Pokemon you had to like build up that trust, you had to build up the trust and relationship within battles and training and so on and so forth. Each Pokemon is unique in their own unique little way, as is the Gardevoir, Waltz, and Kirlia and Gallade line basically. So the horn is meant to represent the emotion that it feels to its trainer and its psychokinetic energy within it basically. It's able to release it at full power. It's even known to give its life for its trainer, either willingly or, you know, emotionally basically. So that's why I fell in love with the whole Gardevoir line basically, because it was the most self-sacrificing basically, and there's something really beautiful and quite heartwarming about something or someone that is willing to give everything for you basically, especially if it's just a Pokemon that normally can't understand you. Although I don't think they've actually said this in the anime, but if it's a psychic type, it should be able to telepathically speak to you. I don't care what you say. If it's psychic, it should be able to speak to you telepathically. And there are some Pokemon that are not psychic, but yet they still can telepathically talk to you. Either it's based on their legendary status, maybe they've had time to learn how to speak English and so on and so forth. But there's even like this one episode of like this Slowking that can like speak perfect English like through the lips and all that, and it's just odd. Like it's not telepathic. He's just speaking to like Team Rocket in like a normal voice, and I find that very odd basically. So yeah, the interesting thing with the Gallade version as well is that the Gallade basically is no longer a psychic fairy type, it's a psychic fighting type now. This is where it goes from the young boy to the youngster prince or princess into like the princess of Gardevoir or the prince Gardevoir to the knight basically, the gallantry knight basically. And I was really hesitant on which one to get, but I thought I might as well go with the be all and end all female Gardevoir. I just like the look that the Mega Evolved version of Gardevoir brings across basically. How it like has this elegance to it, how it has this huge poofy dress with like the chest plates splitting out openly basically. I like how the chest plate goes out bigger, so it basically emphasizes the close bond and relationship that it would have with its trainer. Whereas the Gallade version, it's reversed, so it's longer in the back, shorter in the front. But in the Mega Evolved version of Gallade, it actually gets very, very small, and it's transported to its elbow blades, basically, where it's used it for fighting, basically. And I believe that's meant to represent the capabilities of of it reading its enemy or opponent's emotions or their moves, basically. Like, what is it that not Sun Tzu. Yeah, Sun Tzu. What is it that Sun Tzu said? He said to, if you understand your enemy and understand yourself, you may win, you may lose, basically. If you know neither yourself, neither your enemy, then you will lose every single battle. But if you know yourself and know the enemy, then you will never have to fear about losing another battle. And it's not quite accurate, the quote that he says, but it's something like that. And that's what I like about Gallade, is how he is proficient in fighting, basically. He's meant to be the gallantry knight. He's meant to be the ultimate be-all and end-all fighter, compared to like other fighting types like Machoke or Machamp, basically, who's like this four-armed like wrestling boxing creature, and Lucario, who's like this like aura sensing capable like hand-to-hand combat specialist, basically, or a Hitmonlee or a Hitmon Chung, basically. Is it Chung or Chang? I can't remember, because I know Lee and Chang are meant to be named after like Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. Didn't know that. Those are little interesting little facts about those Pokemon. But yeah, that's why I liked Gallade as a fighting type and Gardevoir as a psychic type, because there's like that form of royal elegancy to them, basically, compared to other Pokemon. And I believe that they're the only ones that I think that are in the amorphous egg range or something like that, because they are human-like in a certain sense. So they're very interesting nonetheless, basically. Oh yes, I wanted to tell you the story about my shiny Ralts. Now, I picked up Pokemon when I was like 10, maybe 11, and there was like this funny story going around where we were trying our best to become the first ones to find shiny Pokemon. and even to this day, I think most of my friends don't even play Pokemon, let alone even are still trying to find the shiny. But I managed to find the shiny about 2 years ago. Sorry, not 2 years ago. Yes, it was 2 years ago, of course, because I was like 27 at the time. Yeah, I just recently found my DS, basically my recent DS, and I've forgotten about this. I think I got it back when I was like maybe 20 or something, because I checked my DS and then I looked through my Pokemon what's it, and I found this shiny Ralts, and I remembered how I got it. I think I bred like this one female and male Gardevoir. No, it was a kirlia. That's right. It was a male kirlia and a female Gardevoir. Yeah, you can still breed them during different evolutionary lines. It's very strange and very odd. Like, imagine trying to do that with a Ralts and a Gardevoir. That must be odd, basically. Anyway, I think I went through roughly 2,300 and something eggs before I was able to find that shiny. It was like a 1 in like 2 million chance of that happening, basically, and I completely forgot about it. I cannot believe I forgot about it. And then I called up one of my mates and I said, dude, I got a shiny. I finally got a shiny after like 20 years. And he's like, are you still playing Pokemon? I'm like, yeah, aren't you? And he's like, no. I'm like, mate, you're missing out. You should try the new Arceus game, mate. It's awesome. They're like these giant ass freaking Pokemon that you get to capture and all that shit. And he's like, mate, come on now. You should be getting on those other things like Call of Duty and all that shit. I'm like, bleh, bleh. F Call of Duty. Give me some Pokemon. I want to catch them all, man. I want to catch every single one of them. So I'm glad that my first shiny was a Ralts, basically, because it was my first like favorite Pokemon. It was my favorite psychic type, you know, and I just love the whole idea of the gallantriness of Gallade and the elegance of Gardevoir, and the history behind it with how it's loving and very protective of its trainer, basically, and how it's able to telepathically speak to its trainer. I feel like they should have fleshed that out in the anime. I don't think it's been shown yet, but it has been shown that it can talk, like, at least telepathically to its respective trainer. I don't know if it can do it with others, but I think it would be able to if it was willing to, basically. Because there are some Pokemon that can just talk willy-nilly to anyone. But telepathically, I think there has to be a psychic link, or at least a mental connection between the Pokemon and its, like, trusted trainer. That would make it more interesting. Like, if they, like, I know that there's this arc in XY, or is it Black and White? I think it's X and Y, where Dianthe, I believe, is one of the top 4, or either she's the champion or she's one of the top 4, I believe. And she has a Gardevoir who can Mega Evolve and is quite well trusted. That's why, you know, that's why you can Mega Evolve her, because you've got Gardevoir, right, along with her having a strong relationship with her trainer, basically. So I felt like it would be quite nice if we could, like, hear that telepathic communication between Gardevoir and her trainer, basically, because that would just make it so more fleshed out and more lovable as a character if you can at least understand it, like, personally and mentally feeling it. I feel like they should really explore that when it comes to it, basically, because they did this with the first movie with Ash and his Pikachu. Like, either it's a dream sequence or it was something like that. We still don't understand it today, but there's like this scene where Ash asked Pikachu, like, why do you never stay in your Pokemon, but why are you always, like, with me all the time? And he just responds with, because I love you and I always want to be with you, basically. And that really broke my heart, because it was like, I was like, how can you, like, mentally, like, emotionally, like, twist me like this by making Pikachu say something so goddamn, like, emotionally adorable and beautiful at the same time, whilst, you know, like, driving it home that this is why we love Pokemon, this is why we love the characterization of Ash and Pikachu, because of you know, their strong bond with one another. They always say this to Ash and Pikachu in every single episode, or most episodes in most movies, is the strong bond they have, because it's true. They have a very strong bond compared to other Pokemon, because Pikachu was his first. Pikachu was there ever since day one. They started out like salt and pepper, basically, against one another, but they turned out to be each other's strengths in one way, shape, or form. And that's what every trainer seeks for with their Pokemon when they train. And that's what I loved about Pokemon when I first came to it, was having those strong bonds and those strong feelings, basically. That's how I felt with my dog, basically, Tifa. He was my strongest bond with any animal, basically. He is still my best friend, even though he's passed. I'll always remember him. So it's similar like that with Pokemon, really. Pokemon, like, even though it's a kids show, it attracts us to it because it reminds us of that inner child within us, basically. Like how SpongeBob reminds us that, you know, like maybe a fart joke can be funny once in a while, you know. SpongeBob still stands the best of, like, the test of time because it's funny for everyone of all ages. Everyone can get a laugh out of it, and that's what I love about, you know, cartoons and all that shit. You should never let that go as an adult. You should never never let go of the thing that helped you like make that inner child within you laugh, basically, or otherwise you just lose a part of yourself, basically. And that's kind of why I wanted to get a Gardevoir, basically, because she was my first favourite psychic Pokemon, and it was just amazing, really, to take her all the way to the top 4 in the champion and just beat them with her, basically, along with the other 5 Pokemon that I had. And I believe they were a Pikachu, a Lucario, a Staraptor, a Buizel, and I think it was a fire type, wasn't it? No, I think it was my Empoleon. Yeah, I think I had an Empoleon. But yeah, those were my 6 Pokemon, basically. So I wanted at least one of them on my body for a tattoo art. So there you go. That is my first Pokemon tattoo and my Pokemon story. I'll probably continue on at another time with this one story at a shop with this card that I was trying to get a hold of. I was trying to get a hold of a ralts shiny card as well, just so you know, I had like the bragging rights of being like a ralts like Pokemon main, basically, you know, or a kirlia main, or a Gardevoir main, or a gallade main, basically. So I'll tell that story at another later date. It's very interesting, like how it's like a drug war when it comes to like trading cards. That's why I don't do trading cards anymore, because the amount of money I wasted in those cards, man, it was just, it's not worth it. So yeah, with that, lads and ladies, I thank you ever so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, then I very much appreciate it if you'd like to leave a like, give me a view, or whatever, basically. I just hope that you enjoy my little story times, and I like telling them with you guys. So I will be going back to my regular gameplay schedule. I've had to take a break for about 3 days just so my leg can heal, basically. I didn't feel like editing in that time, you know. It's just awkward sitting with this tattoo, basically, so having to sit for that long editing is just a bit uncomfortable for me. I hope you can understand. So with that, lads and ladies, I thank you ever so much for watching. It's been wonderful telling the story with you as usual, and I will see you in whatever next I do around here. Take care, my friends.